Oh my gosh, this chapter gave me chills. Chapter 30, Sacking of Severus Snape. So the second that Electo's finger touched the dark mark, Harry's scar started hurting, and he felt Voldemort's emotions. He felt him think, they have the boy, and he knew time was running out. And just out of nowhere, there was a loud bang, and then Luna stunned Electo. Electo was out cold. And then at the same moment, he heard a bunch of rumbling from upstairs. So the Ravenclaw students had woken up, and they were coming downstairs. And at the same time, Lecto's brother Amicus was on the outside. He couldn't get in because he couldn't get past the riddle. He was trying to bang on the door and try to open it. And then there was a familiar voice. It was Professor McGonagall. She came out and was like, "What's going on?" He's like, "What are you doing?" He said, "I'm trying to get in the door." And basically, it's like, "Please open." Not, he didn't say please, but he said, "Open the door. Just trying to get in and check on my sister." And Professor McGonagall was like, "Why would your sister be in there?" and all this stuff. And he said, "Harry Potter's in there." And she's like, "Harry Potter?" And then, so Professor McGonagall opened the door, and in walked in Amicus. He sees Electo on the ground, and then they're talking about like what to do. He said, "I'm gonna blame the students because if Voldemort comes here and Harry Potter's not here, she's gonna get in trouble." He said, "I'm gonna blame the students, and a few of them die, a few of them die." And then he got Professor McGonagall, obviously being Professor McGonagall, was like, "No, you can't do that." And then he came close to her, spit in her face. At that moment, Harry got pissed, hit him with the Crucio curse, and then Professor McGonagall gasped. She's like, "Harry!" And so stunned him, and then Professor McGonagall tied him and his sister up. And so she was trying to figure out why Harry's here. She's like, "You shouldn't be here," but she also felt proud that he was here. And he tried to explain to her why he was here. He was looking for something that Dumbledore asked him to look for. And then she was like, "Okay, I don't know what this object is." He was looking for that crown. And so then they went out because she's like, "We got to get Snape out of here too so we can take over the castle," basically. And as they're going through the hall, Snape comes out of nowhere. He's like, because she turns around and said, "Who's there?" as they're in the hall. And Snape comes out and he's like, "I heard possibly, Harry Potter's here. Have you seen Harry Potter?" All that stuff. And she's like, "No." And then basically they just start fighting. And so they're fighting. Harry and Luna are under the cloak. They're dodging spells and everything. Everything's being thrown around. Professor McGonagall and Snape are getting into it, and then comes in Professor Filtrick and Sprout. They come in as well because Professor McGonagall has sent messages out to the other houses and with her Patronus for them to wake up, start mobilizing. And so all three of them are now fighting Snape. And then Snape makes a break for it. He runs away and he runs out of the castle and he's gone. And at that moment, everything is now needing to get into motion. Harry comes out of his cloak. Everyone's like, "Oh, well, Harry's here." And before they can really get a second to take that in, now they have to start defending the castle. So Professor McGonagall is getting things in order. They're casting protective spells. They say we need to protect the castle because you know who is coming. And we won't be able to keep him out for long, but we can at least hold him off so Harry can find this object that he's looking for. So Harry asked the Ravenclaw professor, or the house person, where is this, diadem? And he said, "I don't know. I haven't seen it. No one's seen it." And yeah, no one's seen it. So no one knows really where to look for this thing, but they need to find this before Voldemort gets there. And at the same time, so Harry and Luna follow Professor McGonagall. She tells everybody, "We're going to get all the students, all the underage students are going to leave." And then Harry tells her about the passage and the room requirement back to Hogshead. So they're going to leave out there, and then everyone else that is staying to fight is going to meet in the Great Hall so they can organize. And then when Slughorn comes in, he is like, I don't know about this. The Dark Lord. If we lose, he's gonna. I'm the head of Slytherin. He's like, I don't know about this. Professor McGonagall gets on him and was like, you need to pick where your loyalties lie, because if you're against us, we are fighting to the death. That's how she says. If you're against us, we're fighting to the death. And this just catches Slughorn off guard. He's like, whoa. Um, but yeah, she said, if you went with us, you against us, you better leave now. Go run off. Um, be a coward like Snape is and all that stuff. And so as they're moving around, Professor McGonagall's getting statues and everything together to protect Hogwarts. And this whole chapter just gave me chills. Like it was a really good chapter. Um, so they're going throughout the halls, getting things together. Harry can feel Voldemort's getting close. He has now checked on the locket in the cave and realized that one is not there. And so he can feel Voldemort is really angry. And so that he's going to be on his way back to Hogwarts now. And so they're trying to hurry up and get there. And Harry and Luna split off Professor McGonagall because she's going down the Great Hall to prepare everybody else. So they go upstairs back to room requirement, and they catch students, that are leaving, the underage students that are leaving, and some of them maybe caught glimpses of him as he's running through. They go into room requirement, and the room is full, like more full than when he left. He sees everybody: Kingsley, Lupin, the Weasleys, like everybody. Everybody is back. All the Order of the Phoenix people, all Dumbledore's army, everybody. But Ron and Hermione are not there. He asked for them, and they said something about going to a bathroom. He's like, bathroom? But before that happens, Lupin does show the picture of his baby. And also, in walks Percy Weasley. Percy comes in. Everyone goes quiet. It's kind of awkward. And then Lupin's trying to talk about, his baby. He's trying to show Harry. He's like, here, look at this picture. And then Percy yells out, I was a fool. Like, he's trying to apologize. And it was quiet at first. And then basically they just accept him back in. And that was a really, really nice moment. Finally, Percy has realized that he was being dumb. And Ginny, on the other hand, wants to fight too. And she's like, I'm in Dumbledore's army. I want to fight too. And Mrs. Weasley is like, no, you're not fighting. The boys can fight, but you're not fighting. You're too young. And Ginny looks at Harry, and Harry agrees. He's like, you're too young. He doesn't want her to get hurt, obviously. So he shakes his head, and then Mr. Weasley also objects as well. But Ginny kind of tries to sneak back in, and while the whole Percy thing is going on, and they catch her, and they basically just make her stay in that room. So they tell you can't leave this room. You're gonna stay here. Even Lupin was like, maybe Ginny could help us, but no, they were like, nah. So, but then now Harry finally feels Voldemort's and his scars prickling again, and then he sees what Voldemort is seeing, and he sees that Voldemort is looking out at Hogwarts. He's got Nagini, the snake, wrapped around him. So it is finally time for this battle to happen. I'm so close to finishing this book, and I just feel like this battle chapter is going to be crazy.